Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, isn't this fun? We get to do this every day. So today I'd like to talk about think small. This was the topic that was introduced today in my meeting, one of the meetings. And there were a few things that stood out to me this morning as I was thinking through this idea of thinking small. Like the first reaction I had when I I heard the words think small, I was thinking like, yeah, everything that goes through my mind is a big deal. And how do I it's not minimize the things that are in my head. It's like, how do I think more realistically? How do I right size my thinking, right size my emotions so that they match reality, so that they match the situation, the circumstance that I'm in? So that's what I want to talk about. Finding that mindset or instilling that mindset where I'm not constantly in an emotional emergency. If something feels uncomfortable, I assume that it's urgent, it's permanent, and it's catastrophic. And I've shared so many times previously, which is interesting, about how when I approach something that's uncomfortable, I've told you, I've said it recently, I want to get it done now. I want to get over it. I don't want to elongate that uncomfortable feeling if I don't have to. Um, so I just want to address it as soon as possible. And I think that that's a normal human reaction. But how about this? Like everything that I everything that's uncomfortable doesn't necessarily require an action. So if I am constantly in this emotional emergency mindset where things that are uncomfortable are urgent, then I may be missing an opportunity to pause and to not act. And I have found a lot of times since I got sober that if I do take that time to pause, I I notice that no reaction or no action is often the better response. So I want to talk about that. And when I do think that my discomfort is because something is urgent, permanent, or catastrophic, I feel overwhelmed and I feel gradually exhausted. So that's why I want to get it over with because it's exhausting to feel uncomfortable. So this idea of think small that was introduced to me this morning, it it helps me to narrow my thinking to actually what is in front of me. So if I am encountering something that is uncomfortable, how is it affecting the moment that I'm in? And more often than not, whatever is going on between my ears has absolutely no effect on the moment that I'm in. It's always like I'm panicking about the future. So I don't need to solve discomfort. Um, if I constantly am solving discomfort, then I'm not in the moment. I'm living in the future. I'm living in the past. I'm like reliving the past. And I'm not focused on just doing the next right thing. I need to stop writing a future that I haven't lived yet. Um, so I think that that's what comes to mind for me for thinking small. And then, oh gosh, these big emotions. I'm an emotional person, and um, it causes, like, as a child, I cried all the time. Heck, as an adult, I cried all the time. Really, until I stopped drinking and my medication for my depression started working. Um, that's when I stopped crying all the time. I still am I still am very empathetic. I still have big emotions, but my big feelings now don't automatically require big actions. So my emotional intensity does not equal the emotional truth, right? I've heard people say, and I really, hopefully I'll be able to think of it because right now my brain is empty. There's a saying about that's what it is. Facts aren't, or feelings aren't facts. And I get it. I get that why people say that because there is an emotional intensity inside of me that does not necessarily match the emotional truth that is required, right? So I kind of blow things out of proportion. I said kind of, I'm trying to stop saying that. Um, so I can acknowledge how I feel without letting it dictate how I act. Um, and I think for me, that's the emotional regulation is where it starts to impact my behavior, or not just my behavior, but where it starts to impact what comes out of my mouth. Um, I have, I would say that 80% of my day, and I've heard something about this um, in my research throughout the few years that I've been doing this podcast, that like 80%, I'm a little side note, I'm a little skeptical about what Autumn's doing. She's kind of walking around and she looks suspicious, but she just laid down, so we're good. Um, I feel like I live 80% of my day is reliving the past in my brain. Um, and that sets off feelings of regret, feelings of shame that my program allows me to work on. Um, but it also elicits like I'm reliving the past, so I'm reliving emotions over and over again. Um, it's not happening right now, but yet I can relive the emotion like I'm right there. And when I'm feeling an emotion about the past, why am I reliving that when I can't do anything about it? Um, it's not happening right now. So my brain is like, like I can sit and sew and be thinking about something from my past. And I see that I'm sewing, but I'm not paying attention to what's around me. And if I'm not doing that, I can't be grateful. Um, the present moment is more, is far more manageable then any thoughts I could have about the past, panicking about the future, panicking about the future um, puts me puts me into fear and fantasy, and it takes me away from gratitude. That too is not happening right now. So it's actually more comfortable to live in the present. So why do we tend to be pulled towards a direction of discomfort? It's I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I just find myself in that position, and I think I like to share about this stuff because I know I'm not the only one, right? I'm not unique. So, when so building on that, if the present is more comfortable and the past and the future is often where a lot of that discomfort is. Sure, there's discomfort in the present. I get that. But just to keep going on my line of thinking before I forget my line of thinking, um, if if the past and the future are so uncomfortable, and discomfort often feels like an emergency, like it's urgent. That is humorous, right? It's humorous because I'm getting uncomfortable. I'm having an emotional emergency about something that happened in the past. If it was an emergency, I would have dealt with it back then. So feeling uncomfortable doesn't mean that there is something wrong right now. Being uncomfortable doesn't mean that I have to fix it right now, run away, flee right now, or that I have to force some sort of relief immediately. Um, what it means is that I can sit down, pause, and sit in that discomfort long enough to recognize where it actually lives. That discomfort lives back there, and it doesn't live right here where I am. Um, if the discomfort is in the moment that I'm in, then that pause is also going to allow me to respond thoughtfully. I'm telling you, the pause can save relationships. Absolutely save relationships. Um, I heard somebody say this morning that many of my negative thoughts are based on my own unrealistic standards. So that ability to get humble because of my program, although it is painful most of the time, for me, it's painful um, to live in humility always, but it also allows me to right size my standards as well. Like, so then before something gets too painful, I can feel like the realistic impact, and that is freeing. I felt like that was I was speaking in a circle, so hopefully it made sense to somebody, at least one person. That's always the goal. So I can let go of those unrealistic standards and then feel a little more positive about myself. When I let go, simply put, when I let go of being perfect, like trying to be perfect, and I focus on progress, not perfection, that softens the emotional load. That softens some of my negative thoughts. That this is just negative thoughts about myself. Um, or I talk about it a lot about the unrealistic, like requirements, goals, standards that I set on myself. Um, when I can take some time to get humble and let go, like understand that I'm human and I have human symptoms, then I don't have so many emotional emergencies, inner emotional emergencies. So with that, I can choose, I can make decisions that are proportionate to the emotional truth. Um, what response from me matches the actual size of a situation. Um, and always remember that not every problem deserves a response. Not every problem deserves a an action. Um, Pausing can actually build more of an understanding if you practice it regularly, can start building an understanding of when I need to take action and when I don't. And I only know that from experience because the first time that I'm in a situation that I would normally react to, I should say, the first time that I don't, and I just clench my teeth and I'm like, no, don't say anything. Your character defect is you would normally react to this. And today you're not gonna react to it. And in doing so, I start to build a new habit. And that new habit is just self-awareness. Having fewer impulsive reactions, increasing my emotional regulation, like understanding I am not a victim of my emotions. And gosh, I have always felt that way. I have always felt that way, which is a lot of the crying. I felt very much like I was a victim of um, my own like overwhelming emotions. And the more I can regulate that, I have more clarity. I start to trust myself that I can be in uncomfortable situations and not lose emotional control. And that's when I start to live better and have a steadier way of living. So, in conclusion, I don't have to conquer all of my emotions. I don't even necessarily need to understand them. What I do need to do is stop avoiding them, um, get more familiar with my trends, my emotional reactions, not behavioral reactions, but my emotional reactions to different things going on. And am I reacting to something because of my past? Am I fearful of the future? And start to understand myself a little more, and that's where the wisdom is. So I think emotional stability, and I'm not claiming to be emotionally stable, please, but that stability can be built in the discomfort as a result of discomfort. All the negative stuff that I don't want to feel, there is a lesson there. There's always a lesson. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I got sober. And I'm understanding that even more in stroke recovery and even more with my disability. that there is a lesson in everything that doesn't feel good. There's a lesson. So if I handle it with care, I can learn how to live better. So that's what I've got for you. I did promise yesterday that we were going to have part 4 of step 4. I just realized that. So I will skip that uh, succeeding episode until tomorrow. I don't know if I said that right, but I'll do that one tomorrow. I really felt a lot about, I felt a lot, get it, about this topic. So I wanted to talk about it while it was fresh in my head, and hopefully you benefited from it as much as I did. So I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you next time.